USA. Here we have a late model E30. You know we mostly like the E36s, but every once in a while we get an E30 that comes in, and this one is pretty special. It's got a 24 valve and an S50 at that. So if you don't know, the S50 is a 3.0 liter M engine out of the 95 only E36 M3. This is the only OBD1 US spec M3 engine, and it's a very common swap because people really like to run the OBD1 software on the E30s. We prefer the OBD2 stuff, but anyways, this stuff is all OBD1 S50 3.0 liter. Right? As we dove into it a little further with a compression test and then a leak down test, we learned that cylinders 5 and 6 both have an issue. Really low compression there, about 50 psi, where all across 1 through 4 we have about 175, 180 psi. So clearly we have a problem between the cylinders 5 and 6. What we're going to be looking at presumably is bent valve, cracked head, or just broken head gasket. But at this point we've confirmed that we need to remove the head to investigate further. I already have inspected the car, gone over the car, and determined that it needs a few other things here and there, but what are worn sway bar end links when you have low compression on cylinder 5 and 6? So we need to start there, and once the engine is sorted, then we'll be backtracking, going through the rest of the car. I'm not sure what this video is going to entail or how long this project's going to be. However, this is the beginning, so first thing that we're going to have to do is remove the cylinder head. Not too bad, but definitely not a quick job either. Stay tuned while we get the cylinder head removed off of this S50.
Up, this way, and out.
Cool. Yeah, because we have everything off as far as accessories, intake obviously, Vanos obviously, but the exhaust, all the hardware is still there, but the studs, we only have so much flex with the actual exhaust itself, and we kind of want to just leave it there. And so we got to go up that way and then back up.
Yeah. And we have to watch for the chain at the same time. So this will be fun.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Head. This way.
All right, Fernie, so what do we see here?
We have the head off of the S50 Swap E30, and we're taking a look at first the head gasket. If you see right here, immediate issue what we are seeing with the leak down between 5 and 6, but we don't want to just simply say, hey, you need a head gasket, let's put a new head gasket on and put it back together. We want to do our due diligence and check the mating surface / engine block for flatness. Obviously make sure all is flat between this side, straight, and this side. I'm going to check all that to make sure it's truly flat, and then we're going to do the same thing with the head, make sure the head seals. We'll water test the head, and then we'll show you guys all those methods so that you could do the same.
So I'm back here with the E30, and here we have the head removed, obviously, and you see some feeler gauges, and this is a straight edge. I got this from the machinist, so without removing the block from the car, this is pretty much the easiest way to check to see if this block is warped. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put the straight edge across the block in a bunch of different angles, and we're going to use this set of feeler gauges. It's a blueprint set of feeler gauges, again, from the machinist. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start big and work my way small to see what fits when I put the straight edge across the block from various points. And remember, we blew the head gasket over here, but after doing some research online, really where you see your warpage in these blocks is here. here where it's weak, basically. And it makes sense, right? You're not going to see warpage really down here. You might see a crack or something, which I don't see any cracks to the naked eye. I've looked pretty close. And it being an iron block, I don't really think it's cracked. It's not a boosted car or anything. My suspicion is that we're going to find some warpage basically between about here and here, here and here, here and here. So that's where I'm going to focus, and especially down here between 5 and 6, because that's where our leak down was absolutely horrendous, and we pulled the gasket off. That's where the gasket was physically broken out. Although it's not very common for these blocks to warp because they are iron rather than aluminum, it does happen, right? I've never had it happen to me personally. I've never seen it personally, but I've heard the stories. So we're this far, and we have to rule that in or out and proceed with that. And the reason why I'm going to be doing it myself with these tools here is because to have a machine shop actually check the straightness of the block and check for warpage, we'd have to remove it, disassemble it completely, and send it out to them, and then wait for them to do it. So although this may not be the most conclusive test, it's going to give us a good idea on if we have some warpage. I've done some research, and the spec for flatness is 3 thousandths or less. So in other words, if we can get the 4 thousandths feeler gauge anywhere under the straight edge, this block is technically trash. Now, there are some aftermarket options with head gasket spacers and re-milling the block and whatever, and we'll explore those as we need to. But for now, keep that in mind that the spec is right here. It's 3 thousandths or 0.076 millimeters. So I'm going to start at the front, and I'm going to check the x-axis first. And so what that means is I'm going to get this. Let me adjust my light, move it on over. What that means is I'm going to put the straight edge here on the x-axis. So rather than bore you guys with about 40 minutes of me going through checking every inch of this block straightness, I only found 2 or 3 spots near the cylinder 5 to 6 area where it was 3 thousandths, roughly 3.5 thousandths, 4 thousandths was iffy. But in that time, Imran had been on the hunt for a new engine anyways, and so he found a fresh S50, and we decided that it was more cost-effective and just a better idea to rip this one out, turn our attention to the newly acquired S50 engine, and get that ready for this chassis. Sup guys, welcome back to Retro Motorsports USA, and what I have here is I have Imran's E30 that you just saw us working on, and we have a new toy here. This new toy is Imran's new to us, new to him, S50B 3.0 engine. It was pulled from a low mileage 1995 E36 M3, US spec of course, and rather than disassemble this engine, send it to the machine shop, X, Y, and Z, we're going to scrap that engine, and we're going to clean this one up. It's going to be easier, it's going to be more cost-effective, and it's going to be more fun, right? We're not machinists, but we can clean up an S50 and get it worthy of the E30. So stay tuned as we get this thing refreshed. We'll show you how crusty it is now, and then we'll show you what it's going to be looking like. So stay tuned to see what comes with this S50 and this E30. So while the new S50 is being refreshed, regasketed, block painted, cleaned up, etc., as well as the S52 cams from the old S50 swapped into it we had to remove the block of the transmission from the chassis. So that's what we did here, simultaneously while the engine's continuously being refreshed.
S50 in the E30. Last time you guys saw, we were adjusting the timing. We swapped over the cams. We got the valve cover. This is just a temporary valve cover. We have another one that's going to get powder coated, but to test and start the engine, we got this one on for now. And then we put the accessories on. We got the belt on, the water pump pulley, the tensioner, the idler, and alternator, obviously the oil filter housing, stuff like that. All that's on, ready to go. We got the coolant hoses on, from the heater core to the water pump to the radiator. All that stuff's hooked up. Right now, as you guys see, the manifold's like halfway on. So we're trying to see kind of if we can clean up the routing of the wires a bit. We kind of tried to put the relays over here, see if they would work, but we're running into issues. Kind of just seeing if we can clean the setup up a little bit, but just trying to get to the point of the first start. I'm gonna get this thing started, and hopefully next video you guys will see this thing running. All right, guys, we're about to start the S50 E30. Everything is back in. We got fluids in, new spark plugs, all the coils are in. And we're gonna go ahead, prime it, check for leaks, and we're gonna start it, and hopefully you guys will hear this thing running. So we're good on fuel leaks. Let's go ahead and try and start it. Runs pretty well. I'll take you guys over here so you can see. So, engine runs pretty well. Engine sounds healthy. It's running good. We're gonna go ahead and button it up and get it back to the customer.
What's up, guys? We are back here with Imran's E30, and as you saw, it runs. So this valve cover is just temporary. We're getting another one powder coated, but that wasn't going to stop us from finishing up the car and getting it running. So we have the replacement S50 installed. We didn't open up this motor. We just refreshed it, took it from what you saw to what it is now with a few new gaskets, some fresh hardware, and a lot of elbow grease. This motor has come a long way. It sounds great, doesn't smoke, doesn't make any noises, anything like that. So that's great. The car came in, it was misfiring really bad, which we found out to be an issue with the head gasket. So lots better than the old engine. We tidied up a bunch of things as well, as far as like this engine wiring harness cover that was missing, and just a bunch of other things that we couldn't leave how it was previously when this car was originally swapped. And there are a few other things that we're going to be getting into, but the big thing is the motor runs now. So now we can worry about those things that still need to be taken care of. I'm going to show you guys this car running, give you a little sound clip, we'll take it around the block, and then we'll continue doing some of the little stuff. So as you can see, it fires right up, idles nicely, no misfire, nothing like that. It's still got an exhaust leak downstream that I think we're going to take care of. The car's not running any oxygen sensors, so it'll do that right there. It runs pretty good, but with no oxygen sensors. The engine management system's pretty much just firing from the hip. Can't really ask for much more with no oxygen sensors. All right, so let's take this thing around the block and see how she feels. Let's go put it to the test. right, so first drive's pretty good. Remember, we've never driven this car. When it came in, it was running so poorly that we didn't even drive it. We did the compression test, and it was like, all right, game over, need to handle that. So now that that's handled, we're gonna be inspecting with eyes, ears, and butt cheeks. You know, what else is going on with this car? Notice we got no speedometer. Parking brake light is stuck on, even though the handbrake's down. I can hear that exhaust leak ticking a little, so if it sounds like it's misfiring, it's not. It's just a little tick from the exhaust. The clutch is weird. Yeah, the clutch engagement is absolutely like at the bottom of the floor. This pedal is pretty dinky, actually. All right. Yeah, you gotta like push in the pedal really far to even get the clutch to engage. Interesting, we'll have to look into that. Let's do a third gear pull. Pulls great, pulls smooth. The clutch is really concerning. I mean, there's like no pedal play at all. We'll have to really look into that. That's very concerning. I can't even get it into gear. Okay. Clutch hydraulics are definitely questionable. Yeah, I gotta like push my foot like almost, it feels like through the floor. And even then, I can shift it, but with my foot still on the floor in gear, it accelerates. So this clutch, we're not getting full engagement and disengagement out of it. All right. Mind you, we didn't touch the hydraulic system. We just pulled the slave out, let it hang out. So this is the same clutch feel as before, and it's not great. All right, so as you guys just saw, we took it on the first drive, and the engine runs great, but the clutch hydraulics just kind of failed on us. That was a little weird. The clutch pedal was just like right up against the floor and then kind of disappeared, and I had to float it back to the shop here, but we made it. Like I said, engine runs great. Everything else still needs some tweaking and some going over, so that's what we're going to do now. Hopefully we'll be able to tackle the clutch hydraulic system. Either the slave or the master is just not great. Maybe it just needs a bleed. I doubt it. I think that something is pretty much shot. But stay tuned for that. We'll dig into that stuff. See you guys soon. All right, guys, so I'm back with Imran's E30, and the engine is running. We're just going over a few things and a few of his other concerns now that the engine is running and the engine is healthy. So he had no speedometer, and after swapping the cluster, I think once or twice, still no cluster. We came back here to look at the speed sensor on the differential, and what we found is we found some broken wires. And so come on in here, I'll show you. I've taken a razor blade and I've cut this back a little, and I'm seeing some damage here on these wires. Looks like it's been pinched before. Maybe someone removing the differential or something like that. But yeah, so we're gonna be able to cut these back, and actually this here is a connector, and so the E36 shares that connector. And so rather than just having these, which are all brittle and broken, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna harvest an E36 connector and see if I can make that work so we get a really good connection. And we're going to get rid of all this broken, damaged wiring here because we got plenty to play with and it looks good up here. So that's what I'm going to do with that. And hopefully that takes care of our speed sensor issue. All right, guys. So as you can see, we got rid of these little cracked connectors in the bad wiring. An E36 connector plugged right in because this is a late model E30. So the speed sensor is actually, I think it's supposed to be this plug. Not sure, but regardless, it is now. I just spliced it in and it looks good, so that's how we're going to leave it. And now we're going to go see if that fixed our speedometer issue. Hoping so. I mean, the wire was broken. That's where it gets the signal, so I'm assuming that was the issue. But regardless, that's a repair that needed to be made anyways. So if it's not that, we'll just continue on with the circuit and figure out why the cluster's not seeing a speed signal.
So we forgot to record replacing the clutch hydraulics, but we did replace the clutch and the master cylinder, and now we have a great clutch pedal feel.
So we are out driving Imran's E30. It is drizzling a little bit, but it's pretty nice out, and the car's feeling good. Some great news, we have the new clutch hydraulics in, so we're able to use the clutch again. It feels pretty good. And exciting, we have a speedometer, which Imran said that he never had when he owned this car. So that's awesome. It was that speed sensor wiring on the back of the differential. So good diagnostic on us, seeing broken wires and thinking, hey, this probably doesn't work. So we started there, and hey, it works. So that's good. Now we're just gonna put some miles on the car. This is an E30. The odometer itself doesn't work, but I want to put about 15 to 20 miles on the car. I just want to drive it around town a little bit, check for leaks. This new motor, you know, I want to break it in, break all the gaskets in, check the fluids and everything like that. Just keep up on it before we return it to him. And we're actually having a car meet that we're hosting with Imran. He's hosting it, we're attending and also co-hosting it. And it's going to be this weekend. So that was kind of our deadline with this car, was to get it ready for the car meet. And it's running and driving. Because 2 weeks ago, this thing had a dead cylinder and a blown head gasket because of it. So, much better. The car still doesn't have oxygen sensors, so it's running as good as it can on this setup. But yeah, it feels good. So stay tuned, guys. We're just going to put some miles on the car and we'll let you know if anything comes up. Alright guys, what's up? So as you see, we are outside at Cars and Coffee that we're hosting here, and we have Imran's E30 here, which means it's done. The S50 is running great. We took care of a lot of